Alright, so in this video, I'm going to go over your classwork. It's the solve an absolute value. I'm going to do all 7 of those problems, I think, or 8, how many it was, to help you with if you have any questions, okay? And just to make sure you have your answers are correct too, okay? So number 1 was r minus 6 equals 8. Alright, so remember, the absolute value has to be isolated, okay, before you start solving. So this one is isolated. There's nothing in the front, there's nothing in the back. So once it's isolated, you split it up into the 2 cases. You set the inside equal to what was given, and then you set the inside equal to the opposite, which would be negative 8, okay? And then you solve it like a linear equation. We're going to add 6, add 6. So now I have r equals 14, okay? Over here, same thing, add 6, except this one's going to give me r equals negative 2, not negative 6, negative 2. So my answer is negative 2 and positive 14 for this one, okay? All right. So let's do the next one. All right, so number 2 is going to be negative 2, absolute value of b minus 1 equals negative 12. Now, I gave you this one because I wanted you to realize that if this is not isolated, then it can't equal a negative. So if you notice, this one's not isolated because I have this 2 up front right here, okay? So that makes it not isolated. So I'm going to isolate it. To get rid of this negative 2, if you notice, oh man, where'd that go? Okay, we're just going to write it again. I don't know what just happened. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of that negative 2. This is saying negative 2 times, so we need to divide. So I'm going to divide by negative 2. And see what happens when I divide by that negative 2? It turns that negative 12 into a positive 6. And an isolated absolute value can equal a positive number. So this equation is solvable. That's why it's always important to get it isolated first. So now I'm going to split to my 2 cases. And I'm going to say the inside is equal to the original version. And then I'm going to set the inside equal to the opposite. And then we solve. Add 1. And I get b equals 7. I'm going to add 1 over here. And I got b to equal negative 5. And those are your 2 answers. All right. Okay. So next one, we're going to do, this one is absolute value of negative 8x plus 10 equals 82. Again, this one is not isolated. What makes it not isolated is the positive 10 right here, the plus 10. So I need to get rid of that. And so to get rid of a plus 10, we're going to subtract 10 on both sides. And I get the absolute value of negative 8x is equal to positive 72. All right, so as long as this isn't negative, you can rock and roll. So we're going to rock and roll. And we're going to say negative 8x is equal to positive 72, and then we're going to say negative 8x is equal to negative 72, okay? And then we're just going to divide to get our x by itself. So positive 72 divided by negative 8 is going to be negative 9. Do the same thing over here. We're going to divide by that negative 8. Negative 72 divided by negative 8 is going to give me a positive 9. So my answers here are negative 9 and positive 9. Okay? All right. I hope you have done really good on this classwork so far. Okay? All right. New problem, new color. All right, so this one is going to be 2 plus 2 times the absolute value of n equals negative 12. Now again, that negative should throw a red flag, but we're not isolated here, so therefore, let's go, okay? Now, when you're solving problems, I say to work outside in. So I'm going to get rid of this 2 right here first. And see how the 2 is being added to that 2? That means I need to subtract 2 on both sides, okay? When I do that, I bring down the 2 times the absolute value of n. Negative 12 minus 2 is negative 14. Now, just like in a previous problem, this is saying 2 times the absolute value of n. So to undo multiplication, we're going to divide. And then when I say negative 14 divided by negative 2, that's going to give me negative 7. All right, we're isolated now. Okay. Can you be equal to a negative when you're isolated? No, you can't. So therefore, this is a no solution problem. Okay?
Ms. Francis, please call the front office.
All right, excuse that. We're just going to erase while she's talking. All right. So that's your no solution, okay? Remember, you have 3 cases that you can have, okay? You can have 2 solutions. You can have 1 solution. That's when you're equal to 0. And then no solution is when you're equal to a negative number. Okay? So just keep that in mind. All right. So let's do orange. And now, next problem is going to be 8 minus 2, absolute value of x equals 8. So again, it's not isolated, because if you look, the 8 and the 2, they got to go. Okay? So, now, this one, you see the operation in between the 8 and the 2 is subtraction. So that means you need to use addition or subtraction to get rid of the 8. Well, what's the inverse of a positive 8? That would be a negative 8. So I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides. Bring down the negative 2 absolute value of x. Well, 8 minus 8 is 0. I'm going to divide by the negative 2. And I get the absolute value of x equals 0. Well, remember over here it says there is only 1 solution. And that is because 0 is neither positive nor negative. 0 is just 0, okay? It's its own special person, you know. So we're going to just say x equals 0 here, and there's nothing else to solve, okay? Now, if you had gotten x plus 2 equals 0, we would have said x plus 2 equals 0 and got x equals negative 2. Okay, that's the side thought. Okay, this one, the x was already by itself, so that's why the answer is 0. But just remember, when it equals 0, when it's isolated, that means that you only have 1 solution. Okay? All right. So let's go to the next one. We got 3 more left, okay, from your classwork. All right, so this one is going to be the absolute value of 3 minus 8x minus 1 equals 10. All right, so it's not isolated, so I need to get rid of this negative 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I get 3 minus 8x is equal to 11. It's isolated, so let's split into our cases. So we've got 3 minus 8x is equal to 11. 3 minus 8x is equal to negative 11. So outside, you work the furthest away from x. Okay, that's the numbers you want to get rid of first. So this 3 is the furthest away. So I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. I get negative 8x is equal to, I believe that's 8. I just don't like making a mistake. It's 8. Divide by negative 8, and x equals negative 1 here. Okay? Same process, you'll just have a different solution. Subtract 3, subtract 3. I get negative 8x is equal to negative 14. Divide by negative 8. Definitely going to use my calculator on this one. It's a decimal. And so x will equal 1.75. Okay? All right. Next one. All right. Make sure I don't skip one. I hope you're using this to see where you went wrong so we can fix those mistakes. And if you're watching this and you don't understand what you did wrong versus what I did, just let me know. So negative 1 plus the absolute value of 3 minus 8x is equal to 52. All right, so I'm going to add this 1, add this 1. I get the absolute value of 3 minus 8x is equal to 53, okay? Now my absolute value is isolated, so now I can split up into my cases. So I'm going to say the normal case is you just keep everything the same. 3 minus 8x equals 53. The other case, you just change the sign of your answer to negative 53, okay? So now we're going to solve it. So I'm going to subtract 3, subtract 3. I have negative 8x is equal to 50. Going to divide by negative 8. I do believe this one's also going to be a fraction. Sure is. X equals negative 6.25 is your first answer, okay? Next one up here, you're going to do the same process. You'll just get a different answer. Subtract 3, bring down negative 8x. That's negative 56. I do believe negative 56 divided by negative 8 is going to give me a positive 7. Sure did. So my answer is negative 6.25 and 7. All right. Last problem. Whoops. Oh, I'm seeing where everything went now. Okay. All right. Learning new stuff every day with this technology. All right. Last problem. Absolute value of 6, negative 6 plus x divided by 3 equals 2. All right. You got to get rid of the stuff that is the furthest away from x. And so 3, he's the furthest, so we're going to get rid of him. Now he's being divided, so we're going to multiply. All right, we got to get it isolated. So absolute value of negative 6 plus x is going to equal 6. Now that it's isolated, let's set up our cases. Negative 6 plus x is equal to 6. Negative 6 plus x is equal to negative 6. Add the 6, add the 6. X equals 12. Add the 6, add the 6. X equals 0. So those are my two answers. All right, I hope this helps you with your classwork that you did today. All right, and if there are still more questions, just email me. All right, guys?